Hey there everyone, Mazarok here, and today I want to take off the rose-colored glasses from the other night and go through the Blood DK talent trees. Mythic Trap has done an amazing job. I'll leave the link for that down below, where you can go through the Druid and the Death Knight trees in an interactive fashion and really kind of put your points to where they were. I was really excited about the Blood DK stuff that they put out there, and of course I was. I mean, you saw everything that was with, all the choices you had to make and everything. But let's see how that holds up when you're actually making a talent tree. You know what I mean? Because, of course, this is what it's going to be. Every level, you're going to gain a talent point. I think it's starting at level, 9 or 10 or something. And so then every one level, it's on the class tree. And then every other level, it's on your spec tree. So before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. As of recording this, we're so very close to 2K subs, which is an absolutely huge benchmark for me, and I am still just flabbergasted by the amount of support everyone has given me, and thank you so much. And there's a Twitch link down below, key coaching, Google Drive link down below if you're kind of a struggling tank, or you'd like to maybe just get some coaching or some pointers. I would love to review a VOD that you've recorded of yourself and kind of, give you some tips and hints on kind of what you can be doing better. Doesn't matter the tank, have fun. I know this is a BDK tree, but you can do it on any tank. And as well, there's a community Discord link down below. If you want to chat about anything you see here, that Discord and my Twitch are two of the best ways to get a hold of me. Twitch is when I'm live, of course, and Discord for any and all times. But the Discord has been very, very active with a lot of great people. Honestly, just the amount of positivity that's in that community channel is unreal, and I want to thank everyone in that community channel for making it what it is. It's not just me, it's all of you. So let's get started. Let's get into the class tree first and kind of build what we can with 31 points. So as a Blood DK, you immediately start with 1 point talented into Death Strike. We obviously need to go with Anti-Magic Shell. Mythic Plus, you need a kick. So you're getting Chains of Ice. That's absolutely required, right? And unfortunately, you're kind of shoehorned into Raise Dead. Now, not unfortunately, but you have to basically put points in all of here. So here we need 3 more points here to be able to go down into the next row. I would personally go with Icebound Fortitude because you need some sort of DR in keys. And Permafrost is also really good. So 3% leech, not bad. Permafrost, really good as well. But that means that we are left to go down here, but without any points in Veteran of the Third War, which, come on, you need stamina, you need all that fun stuff, right? So as we're going down, Merciless Strikes, your critical strike chance is increased. This will be 4%. I'm not a huge fan of this because even at that on my BDK now, I only have 8 or 9% critical strike, and I'm happy with it because I've got my haste up, I've got decent mastery, and I've got my verse up. But I would like it up a little bit more because verse, why not? It could be at 50% and I'd still want more. So after we take Merciless Strikes, I think you need the 2 to be able to even take the 1. Yeah, okay. So that up next, so we have to put in 9 more points. There's the option of Anti-Magic Zone, increasing strength, which is not a bad option, but here we haven't gone into brittle yet. Okay, let me kind of move this over here because the choice node is not being super friendly to what you can see. All right, there we go. Each runic power you spend has a 2% chance to instantly grant you a rune, or runic corruption. Each runic power you spend has a 1.6 chance to increase your rune generation by 100% for 3 seconds. Now this is very good. Very good. Although, so this is for each runic power you spend. So at 10 runic power you spend, you're at a 20% chance. Death Strike, typically right now, we don't know the fine-tuning, and I do need to point this out. A lot of things need to get tuned, need to get clarified. There's a lot of numbers that we just don't know yet. So let's take that with a grain of salt and try and be constructive with all of this. Honestly, I think Runic Empowerment would be very, very strong here. Oh, I need my second point here. Runic Empowerment would be very strong because then that way you'd be able to work with your blood spec a lot better. Improved Chains of Ice, I honestly don't think that matters. Really not that great for blood. Successfully interrupting an enemy with Mind Freeze reduces the cooldown. And so I'm kind of going with a Mythic Plus build here, by the way. Let's kind of set that up. I'm doing this with Mythic Plus in mind. In Raid, if there's nothing to kick, I mean, you're not going down as much of this tree as, as much. You're taking talents out of, like, anticipation because there's no point, right? You're not kicking anything on certain raid bosses, but on certain raid bosses you are. So let's just go with a Mythic Plus type of build. Perfect. Then we're going to go with Icebound Fortitude here. So let's say this is a base 3 minutes, right? And it gets brought down by our current conduits and things like that. Having the improved Acclamation will bring this down to a 2-minute cooldown, which is fairly strong. That's actually pretty good. Now, I want to go with Empower Rune Weapon here. I actually do like that a lot. Okay, but we need 5 more points in. So, where do we go? We don't have a choice. We have to start going here. I like Grip of the Dead. So we need 2 more points. Grip of the Dead, very good for Mythic Plus. And then we need 1 more point. Do we go into Lichborn or do we go with your Ghoul's attacks? This one here is interesting. Your Ghoul's attacks have a chance to apply Enfeeble, reducing the target's movement speed by 30% and the chance they deal to you by 15% for 6 seconds. I don't mind this, but we don't know the proc rate on it. We don't know how long it's going to be up. And right now your Ghoul is on a 2-minute cooldown and lasts for 1 minute. So this is considerably the same thing. So it says that it has the same tooltip here, just doesn't have a cooldown on it. So we're going to assume that's the same. So realistically, if the proc rates are good, but they're random, you could get about, I'd say 75% uptime of your Ghoul's uptime, which isn't super worth it, but I could be going with Lichborn here for sure. So then we have our points there. Icy Talons, your runic power spending abilities, increase your melee attack speed, stacking up to 3 times, fairly strong. By the way, the reason I went over here is for Permafrost. Your auto attack damage grants you an absorb shield equal to 40% of the damage dealt. This is going to be passive absorbs, which absorbs are very, very good for DKs. So this is pretty much one you're going to be wanting all of the time. And then your auto attacks have a chance to generate 5 runic power. This right now on Frost, if I'm not mistaken, is not worth taking with 2-handed weapons, but is worth taking with 2 one-handed weapons. So this is going to be able to, this is one of those things where we're going to have to see what that proc rate is like and how often you generate that 5 runic power. But before then, I'm just going to take Empowered Rune Weapon and go with it. This here, improved Death Strike. Your Death Strike's cost is reduced by 10 and its healing is increased by X amount for Blood Spec. Okay, so do we want to go down this tree further or do we want to go here? How many points do we have left? We have 7 points, which is not much. Realistically, it's not much, right? But we need to get Will of the Necropolis because that's an absolute go-to with blood. So we do have several things that we kind of need to look forward to. And looking here, we cannot go up. Another interesting one to take would be Horn of Winter. Blow the Horn of Winter, gaining 2 runes and generating 25 runic power. What the cooldown is going to be on this is going to matter. If this is like a 2-minute cooldown, I don't think it would be worth taking at all or putting a talent point because we have so precious few of them left. But if it's on a 45-second, maybe even a minute, like maybe, this could be worthwhile. Very much worthwhile. If we could get this to line up between that 45 seconds to a minute with Dancing Rune Weapon, just being able to gain 2 runes is going to be a 3-second increase on Dancing Rune Weapon because we are losing the Kyrian Shackle ability, right? Which is a very strong thing for Mythic Plus and Blood Decays currently, where what you do on your opener is you go in, you Blood Boil, Death and Decay, and you Heart Strike until you got nothing left. You hit Shackle, and then you start Heart Striking again, gaining a free rune every time that Shackle spreads, allowing you to just spam Heart Strike for a long time, doing a lot of damage. Really, really good. So we're losing that. So we need more things that generate runes for us, which is why I like Runic Empowerment. You Death Strike, get a free rune. You can Death Strike, get a free rune. So it's, you just keep on going that way, and you're keeping that rune going. Now this is hopefully because it's a 20% chance on 10 runic power spent, so it'd be 80% chance on 40. That's the idea, right? So what do we do next? Blood Draw. When you fall below 30% health, you drain health from nearby enemies. Can only occur once every 3 minutes. This sounds like it could be powerful, but how much health are you going to draw from? How long is this buff going to last? There's a lot of questions here that just remain unanswered. And that is something we need to watch out for. Increases the effectiveness of your Rune Forge effects. This 30%, this is huge. And then that leaves us with 3 talents available. 3 left. So Blinding Sleet would not be a bad option for disrupts in Mythic Plus. But then we can go with Anti-Magic Zone. We have 2 left, leaving us with the choice of Anti-Magic Barrier, Death's Advance, Asphyxiate. Losing that stun would suck. But at the same time, Death's Echo. This is also could be very, very strong. Because we could go with Death's Advance, hit Death's Echo, then you have 2 charges of Death's Advance, 2 charges of Death and Decay, and 2 charges of Death Grip, which I think would be very, very strong. Honestly, I do. So there's some things to be looking forward here, but some things that we're leaving on the table is the improved Death Strike. Now, its healing would only be increased by 10% with 3 talent points put in. Is this going to be worth it? And does this reduce the Death Strike down to 30? Because we still don't know what their plan is for Death Strike. They might up the cost to, let's say, from its current 45 to 50. And I know there are ways to, because we have Ossuary, right? So that's going to be something where we can tile it into. So there's some definite things to look into here, but this is a build that I'd be fairly comfortable with. But we're leaving Unholy Ground on the table, which is a 5% haste boost while you remain within your Death and Decay. Very strong, which if you're talenting into Death's Echo, this is something you're going to want, but you're also going to want this. So do you want to not reduce the kick? Because we can do that, and then boom, then we have a full uptime on that 5% haste buff within Death and Decay, because the cooldown for Blood's only 15 seconds, and it lasts for, if I'm not mistaken, 10. Could be wrong. But that way, during a pull, we can always have a Death and Decay down and always have this going in. So a lot of things to look at when we're, kind of looking at this here. But we're also leaving this Blood Draw on the table. There's some things that I would like. There's a lot of good options, but there's also a lot of things that I think should just be baseline here. Veteran of the Third War. This is nice that Unholy and Frosty K's are getting it, but man, Blood DK's not getting this baseline is gonna suck. You don't have a choice but to put 2 points in here. Unless you want to build Glass Cannon, you absolutely have to put 2 points in there. So anything to make you tankier, right? Now that's kind of, it's a little, it feels bad, because this means that because we have to put 2 points here, we don't have those 2 points elsewhere, and those 2 points could really mean a lot. You could put them into Runic Attenuation, Assimilation, you could put it in a Blood Draw, you could maybe go down and have another Soul Reaper, but at the same time, Soul Reaper, that might be better for Raid than it... I think Soul Reaper would be better for Raid than it would be Mythic Plus. This is actually one of the best executes in the game. It is super solid. So you might want to, heavy execute fights go through there. But I think we're leaving just a little bit too much on the table here. And I think the root cause of that is Veteran of the Third War. This should just be baseline for Blood DKs. You shouldn't have to talent into being... your basic level of tanky, you know what I mean? You're a tank spec, you should just be a basic level of tank. You should at least have 1 point starting in here. I'd say even both points starting in there, but that is just me. But all in all, I really do like a lot of the improvements here. We have some things we got to look out for, like Blood Draw, Enfeeble, how often those procs. I also think Control Undead should just be baseline. I mean, there's so few instances where this is actually useful. Just make it baseline. There's like 3 dungeons you can use it in currently in Shadowlands, and this is the land of the dead, where the dead go, and there's only like 3 instances where Control Undead is actually like crazy useful. So I think, I don't know, having to put a talent point into this seems, just to get it, feels kind of bad, but all in all, not too bad. Most of the time, I think you're going to ignore Slappy Hands. Not going to lie. This might be a raid talent a little bit better, but I think Empower Rune Weapon, which you gain 15% haste, you generate a rune and 5 runic power instantly, and every 5 seconds for 20 seconds. This is just too strong to not take. And it... if Empower Rune Weapon is not talented elsewhere on the tree, this grants 1 charge of Empower Rune Weapon. So that's basically a Frost tooltip. So, I mean, a lot of things to be excited for, but this kind of feels bad. Not gonna lie, Veteran of the Third War having to talent into it as a Blood DK kind of feels bad. But let's get into the Blood tree. So let's just kind of move this here, where we can just... Do we have choice node? Can we see all the choice nodes? Or is this kind of like... Yeah, okay, so we can see all the choice nodes. So your first one is Heartstrike. You have to put it in. Marrowrend, you have to put it in, of course, and Blood Boil. These are 3 essentials that you absolutely have to take for Blood DK, and I would argue the improved Blood Boil to have 2 charges of it, because right now it's a 6-second cooldown, and you would absolutely need to have your second charge of this. Now, as we go down the tree, your next options to go further are Foul Bulwark and Crimson Scourge. I don't know the reasoning behind this. I really don't. This is not a good talent. Each charge of Bone Shield increases your maximum health by 1%. Realistically, this is only ever going to keep you between 4 and 7% increased health. And that's not even that good. Like, this is not a talent I think pretty much anybody takes. Because you're not keeping your Bone Shield stacks at 10. There's just no point in wasting, like, any runes or anything, any resources, just to keep a small couple % health buff up. So this is a talent that you're pretty much going to have to take, because as we go down this tree, you see Improved Bone Shield, you see Reinforced Bones, Blood Tap, Consumption Blood Drinker, and Ossuary. So this is one thing, like, you kind of have to, right? You have to take a point there, and then to want to go down here, you have to take Crimson Scourge, which makes your Death and Decay cost no runes and resets its cooldown. Now, this is currently a baseline passive. This is currently a talent. This one feels bad. I don't like this. I think this should just be kind of removed and something else taken from here. So here we need 2 more points, but here's the thing. Blood Fortification. So Veteran of the Third War will give us 20% stamina increase. Blood Fortification will give us 30. And decrease the damage taken by 10. You have to put 3 points in there. There's no choice, really, if you're progging any sort of content at all. I mean, if you're fully bissed out in all of your gear to the point where, the dungeons are a joke, you could take this off and be fine, because you know that, you've outgeared the content you're currently running. But for any sort of content where, you might be in trouble, this is an absolute must. Then we need Vamp Blood, because it's Vamp Blood. You need Vamp Blood. Then we have a choice. Then we can go with Tombstone or Mark of Blood, which we're going to go with Tombstone for reasons that are pretty obvious a little bit later on. Then you have a choice between Bloodworms or Voracious. This one here we're going to leave blank and see what we can... and see what we can do to kind of work around it. But Bone Shield increases your haste by 10%. It's needed. Blood Tap, basically needed. So here we have 16 points left, and we need 6 points to go through this. So, what do we do? Hemostasis. I'd argue this is an absolute 2-pointer, but then we'd have to go with Voracious or Bloodworms here. Improved Vamp Blood increases all healing and absorbs by an extra 10% and its duration by 2 to 4 seconds. This is good if you're going to go down this last tree here, but, I mean, whatever. And then as we're going down this tree, so let's say we're making a Mythic Plus build, having access to Consumption or Blood Drinker, which is something that we haven't had access to keys. I don't want to say haven't, but there are better options on the current talent rows. So it's one of those things where Blood Drinker is purely single target, and Consumption is purely AoE, really. Sorry, I needed a drink of my tea. So, really, it's going to be nice to have that button in there, and that's sweet, but kind of is what it is. And then we're going to go with Ossuary. Then we have 1 more point to put in. Do we go with an Improved Heartstrike to increase its damage? Now, if we go with 3 points there, we could have an extra 30% damage to Heartstrike, but there's also Reinforced Bones. Increases armor gains from Bone Shield by 10%, but Rune Tap, Death's Caress, Relish in Blood, and Heartbreaker. So Heartstrike generates an additional runic power per target hit. So this would be 2, so this is the Heartbreaker talent. How badly do we want to go into this? Now, we don't go into this now, right? We don't. We could argue that we'd want to go into Rune Tap. I don't use Death's Caress that much. I just don't think it's worth the rune to spend unless I'm absolutely pulling at a distance. Where, you know, I can get away with having that rune back by the time things are kind of pulled in. But now for the cost of 1 rune, assumably, because it doesn't say the cost, it has a 6-second cooldown, but it generates 2 Bone Shield charges. This is going to be pretty good because right now Mirroring costs 2 runes and it generates 3 Bone Shield charges. Using 2 Death's Caress, you get an extra Bone Shield charge throughout that time, and could be worked in conjunction to be a little bit better on rune management. But then there's the question of what do we want? Do we want Reinforced Bones to increase the 10% armor by Bone Shield, or do we want Rune Tap? Now, Rune Tap is one of those things where I don't press it very often until I'm progging content that I'm, you know, not quite geared for, or that is genuinely tough. Basically, for me, until I'm in 22s on my BDK, Rune Tap very rarely gets pressed. So for a basic 15 run, I'm going to go with Reinforced Bones just to have the extra armor, make me more tanky. So then we have 10 points to spend down here, and we have our options here. We need Dancing Rune Weapon, no ifs, ands, or buts. Crimson Rune Weapon, absolutely. And we do want our current tier set. So we have to put 2 into Heartrend and then 1 into Everlasting Bond. So Heartstrike has a chance to reduce the runic power cost of your next Death Strike by 10%. And deal an additional damage, 20 to 40% based on your missing health. This is pretty good, but what that chance is, again, we don't know. Right? We just don't know. So how many points do we have left? 5. Mythic Plus, you kind of need Gorfine's Grasp. Like, that's kind of necessary. Not kind of necessary. But then we have 4 points left. So I like Bone Storm. Also, Shattered Bones sounds really interesting. Not going to lie. When Bone Shield is consumed, it shatters, dealing damage to enemies. This damage is tripled to enemies affected by Death and Decay. So, perfect. There we've spent all of our points. But we're leaving a lot on the table. We're leaving Improved Heartstrike on the table. We're leaving Leeching Strike, Rune Tap, Death's Caress, Relish in Blood, Heartbreaker. We're leaving Red Thirst, Unquenchable Thirst. We're leaving this Empowered Gorfine's Grasp, which actually does increase damage that, you know, enemies hit by Gorfine's Grasp take 5 to 10% increased damage from you for 10 seconds. Additionally, reduces the cooldown of Gorfine's Grasp by 30 seconds. And we're leaving our Cheat Death on the table, which for like a regular 15 run or whatever, that's not too bad. I think this gives us a lot more. It gives us access to more than what we already have, which is a bonus. It really, really is a bonus. I have to agree with that there. But where it starts to feel lackluster is kind of right around here. I would like access, I don't know. It's a little bit difficult, right? It really is difficult. Because you want Crimson Rune Weapon. Like, that's an absolute must. You want Everlasting Bond. That's basically a must. Actually, I think where it kind of breaks down for me is this Foul Bulwark. I'm not going to lie. I think a smart move would to put Rune Tap where Foul Bulwark is. Yeah, I think that would be better. Put Rune Tap where Foul Bulwark is. And if you want to improve the Heartstrike, I put Leeching Strike here. Maybe? I don't know. That's tough. It's tough. I don't think Rapid Decomp needs to be there either. I don't know. These are tough to build, man. When I'm stopping and thinking about it and everything else like that, it's kind of difficult. Because you don't want to put Improved Blood Boil anywhere where you have to, right? Like, I wouldn't put it anywhere on a tree that goes down because you're forced to take this. You need 2 charges of Blood Boil, basically. So that's a little difficult to kind of move in and things like that. Vamp Blood being here is not bad. Oh, man. I would put Rapid Decomp right here, probably. It feels weird that Blood Boil and all of your plagues are all on the right, but then Rapid Decomp is right here. That feels a little weird to me. Like, you know what I mean? That could be kind of reworked around a little bit. I really like the idea of the improved Heart Strike and the Leeching Strike, but like as you're going down, where are you going to get the points from? You know what I mean? Like, where are you going to get the points from to do that? And not just like 1 point. Where are you going to get 3 points to do that? Really, Blood Fort? You kind of need Blood Fort as a tank, because as a BDK, you are kind of a little squishy if you don't play right. You can die if, you know, you don't play right. So you really want this to have your total of 50% stamina increase between the two, which I think we have a total of 60 right now, which is going to kind of suck to lose 10%, but whatever. It just feels like you're being shoehorned into a lot. Now, I could go without Reinforced Bones and go into Rune Tap, especially once I'm going into higher levels. And in single target, of course, I would get away from Bone Storm. Depending on the damage of Shattering Bones, I would probably go Red Thirst and then Unquenchable Thirst. This seems like it would be really interesting, but we're also losing out on these 2 points right here, which, where would you take them from, right? To improve that Vamp Blood, to improve this. All in all, I like the tree. There's definitely some things that could go pretty awry with this if the numbers are off. You know what I mean? Like, the tuning's got to be good. You know, we got to have good cooldowns. Like, Empower's got to be on a decent cooldown. They can't really make it higher than what it is. There's a lot of things. What feels like to me on for Blood DK is there's so many good things on that tree, and we're just leaving so many things off the table. Like, just so many things off the table. Where it's just kind of, I understand a meaningful choice, and there is some meaningful choice to take here, but you also feel shoehorned into a point where you can't necessarily make some of those meaningful choices because you don't have access to enough talents. You just don't have talent points. You know what I mean? You're really kind of stuck. I guess you could go without Tombstone here, but Tombstone is pretty instrumental for the reduction of Dancing Rune Weapon. That's really one of the things that allows the Dancing Rune Weapon build to kind of really work right now. Shattering Bone does sound very interesting. I'm not going to lie. I'm really excited to see how this goes. And is going to really promote a healthy Death and Decay play style. So you're going to want to work with there. But there's definitely some options. But losing Asphyxiate baseline for Blood is going to kind of suck if you're having the talents into it. Because there's so many good options there. There's so many good options. But at the same time, in a lot of things that you could stun kick, you can Death and Decay. You can Death Grip kick, kind of. You can just interrupt it that way, and you have 2 charges of it now, which feels very good. So there is a little bit of trade-off there that isn't too bad. Rose-colored glasses are off, right? I like the tree, but it needs to get reworked. Personal opinion, I'm going to state this again. Foul Bulwark can just go. Like, it could honestly just go. It's not a talent that needs to be there. Wasting a talent point in that is just not good. And right now, there just is too many good talents, and you feel like you don't have enough talent points. It's one of those things like, yes, it feels good to take a lot of these things, but it also feels bad to leave so much on the table. So it's kind of a wishy-washy for me right now. But what are your opinions? Do you like this? You can go on Mythic Trap and play for it right now. This is just kind of something that I built. I could do this all day and we would be here for hours, but I don't want that to happen. For obvious reasons, let's keep this YouTube video to kind of a minimum. I see we're already on 30 minutes, which is, you know, quite enough. But there's definitely some things to be bounced around. I'm not saying this is going to be BIS, by any means. I'm not saying that, hey, this is the talents that you absolutely want to play. This is just something I built kind of right off the bat. And there's definitely some things to kind of see and work with. And, you know, this is kind of something I built, again, for a plus 15. This isn't for 22s, because at 22 I'm absolutely going with room tap, or once you get into higher end content where, you know, you actually need to, like, really tank. Maybe you can put less into blood fortification and improve target strike and make yourself more of a glass cannon. But you're a tank. And if you want to be tanky and you need to stay alive, and if you're not staying alive, what's the point? A lot of things to look forward here. Lots of... not many improvements to be made. Not many. I think they could shuffle some things around to make it feel a lot better. I really do. I feel like they could work things around there to make it feel a lot better. First things is, like I said, foul can just go. But that's my general feeling on it. What's your feeling on it? I would love to hear about that in the comment section down below. Let me know. And are you excited for the other ones? I'm going to be doing this for Bear. I'm going to be doing this for all of the other tanks as well. But again, this is alpha. Things are subject to change. We don't know what a lot of cooldowns are. We don't know what tuning is. There's so many things that we don't know that I want to stay positive, and I don't want to be, hey, this is shit. This is awesome. Let me be very clear about this. This is awesome. I love this. This idea is brilliant, and it feels so much better than the talent system that we have now. It really does. But there's going to be some growing pains, and that's natural, right? It's absolutely natural that there's going to be growing pains, but they're throwing this. The alpha is not even out yet, and they're throwing this at us to get feedback. So I want to give them positive feedback. And some of it is there's some things that I honestly believe on this tree should just be baseline for blood. Honestly, you make Veteran of the Third Ward baseline for blood, you're fixing this entire tree. The class tree, you're just fixing. Because then you get 2 more points that you can spend on Asphyxiate or improved assimilation, or really work your way through this, right? You do get those 2 talent points, and this tree, honestly, I think is perfect. The left tree is perfect the way it is if you give Veteran of the Third War baseline for blood, because having to spend a total of 5 points between 2 trees just to increase your stamina to what we have passively now kind of sucks. Let's face it. But having 2 extra talent points here gives you 2 very meaningful choice options. Do you want to stun? Do you want blood draw? Do you want to improved this? Like, what do you want? And there's great options to take. And then on the blood side of things, the blood scale, the blood spec tree, lots of good stuff. Lots of good options. Some stuff that was baseline that you're going to have to talent into or things like that. Definitely a little bit of rework here. But like I've said, more than time again, get rid of this and shuffle some things around. And I think you've got a really, really good setup. But I think blood is going to be incredibly powerful next expansion, especially with the way that they're going with this. Awesome. Let's keep it going. What do you think? I would love to hear that down in the comment section down below. Please like, comment, subscribe.